Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Chat Podcast, where we talk about all things awesome and nerdy. Guys, it's fall TV time, and it's time to start talking about shows, TV shows, particularly superhero shows. Joining me as always, or as usually, or always, whichever the word is, Dan Tundis. Dan, say hi to everybody, as always.
Or frequently.
My
frequent guest and co-host. I think one day I want to do like a Bizarro episode of the Daily Show where I do the intro and I'm like, welcome to the weekly show where we review all things stupid and jockey. Just to do the Bizarro episode.
I'm going to have to delete all this information just so that way we can throw everybody for a loop when we actually do that episode.
Just leave it. Like, it'll be unexpected.
Right.
Maybe in April. No one's going to remember. That's 6 months from now.
True enough.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, we're going to be talking about, today, we did something like this last year. We're going to be talking about the state of superhero television programs. And we kind of have a lot to run down, so let's just dive right into it. First off, overall opinion, Dan, is, as much as I love superhero stuff, I think I'm starting to get worn down by shows.
I think the television shows in particular are just one thing that I'm just, I'm done with. I've never glommed onto them. I was never a huge into it. I think the only notable exception for that, for me, was the Netflix shows. That was the one where I felt but especially just kind of like the Marvel shows that first came out, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
which I like, but go on.
You do like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just could never find the passion for them. I always found that they're just so strung out and soap opera-y and not superhero-y enough, and it feels like there's always just enough superheroes to keep the fandom interested, but not enough superheroes to make them actually good, and there's never the good superheroes on those shows anyways.
Right, which is maybe what we should talk about right from the beginning, which a franchise of TV shows that loves to just throw in as many B superheroes as possible. The Arrowverse.
Talk about settling on mediocrity.
The sad thing is, there was a point where I would have disagreed with you. That time was 4 years ago.
Right.
Back when it was just Arrow just Arrow.
Right.
Because I know you're not the biggest fan of it, but the first two seasons of Arrow were actually pretty good. I still stand by that. Seasons 3 and 4 were bad. 5, I feel like the show kind of redeemed itself, but the damage has been done. That's the problem.
Yeah, I feel like, again, those shows, the Arrowverse just is so long-winded in all of them. It's Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow is just, that's just a dumpster fire of a show. And I'll admit, it was a guilty pleasure for a little while where I would tune in.
It's still a guilty pleasure,
just to see where, Rory and the gang were up to, flying around in their spaceship and things that just made absolutely no sense, and somehow Captain Cold is trying to beat up, Merlin. I don't know. It was just always really weird and didn't make a ton of sense. But I was willing to go along for the ride for a little bit, but it just recently has felt kind of lackluster. And it's such a shame that, television shows about superheroes that are inherently cool, they're things that we love and that we grew up with and that I'm still a huge fan of in comics and in movies, video games, that they're just so underwhelming.
Well, you know what my biggest problem with all the Arrowverse shows is? They're on the CW. The CW has its formulas.
Right.
The biggest problem I have with the CW is the fact that there is always some kind of involvement with the romance. There's always going to be a romantic subplot, which, if there's got to be one, fine, whatever. I get it. Peter Parker always has Mary Jane. Superman always has Lois Lane. Blah, 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 blah. But every episode has to involve the romance in some massive way.
Barry's going to be late for a date because he has to stop Gorilla Grodd, and that's going to affect his personal relationship. And how does he balance it? And he's decided not to be the Flash ever again until next episode.
That sounds like every other Spider-Man comic I've ever read.
Yeah, it pretty much is every other. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Spider-Man no more.
Spider-Man no more.
Spider-Man no more.
Yeah, and I know you didn't see it, but or did you see it? The Supergirl season premiere?
No,
dude, it was awful, man. I'm sorry to say, it's because the whole episode just felt basically, spoiler alert, everybody. End of season 2, she has to say goodbye to her boyfriend in order to save the planet. Like, I can't even remember it. It was just such a bland ending that I don't even remember if he's dead or if he just, like, straight up left the planet. I really don't remember. But the whole episode was just her, like, being all mopey and sad about it.
Is he a Martian?
No, he was from Daxam, which is, like, a neighboring planet of Krypton.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was as bad of a romance as you could ever imagine.
That's weird that I've actually never heard of that place before, right. And I've been a avid comic reader for the past
I never heard of it.
Years, but
I never heard of it until now either. I got about halfway through the Flash season premiere, and then something happened with my internet connection. I don't know, before I came over here.
It's funny that your internet connection slowed down while you were watching The Flash.
Irony.
Right. I mean, The Flash just felt so repetitive because I did watch the first 2 seasons of The Flash.
The first season, it didn't feel as bad, but by halfway through the second season, you figure out the formula completely.
Right. Yeah, and I'm barely I'm the fastest man alive, except that I'm not because there's other speedsters that I need to. So.
Did I ever show you the YouTube video? I think it was, I can't remember the channel. I think it was Dorkly. They did a video of the honest Flash opening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's just great because he's just, like, the sound guy is just kind of like, you're not the fastest guy alive. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, like, Savitar's faster than you. He reverse Flash. He taught you everything you need to know, like... Zoom. Like... But, I mean, yeah, I'm sick and tired of him constantly saying, I am the fastest man alive. It's like, no, Barry, you're not.
And then the entire season revolves around him actually not being the fastest.
Exactly.
And doing things that he needs to be faster.
And once per episode, he always has to say, I can't run that fast. And I'm always like, Barry, you can travel through time.
Right.
You do that.
He's only as fast as he needs to be for that episode.
Exactly.
That's the thing about it. It's always on, like, this weird sliding scale, which is kind of frustrating. And I think one of the things that ultimately turns people off to the show, and I think that's why Arrow did as good as it did for so long, because I did watch the first couple seasons of Arrow, and like the Netflix shows, it was a little more grounded. Like it felt like
it was grittier too.
It was grittier. It was a little more grounded. It felt like there were actual stakes that you could get behind, because it wasn't this all powerful being. Like he was flawed. He was human. And that's one thing about like the Arrow and especially Supergirl for me, and it's always been my biggest reasons with Superman or other characters like that.
The gods.
Thor, Hulk,
Superion or Hyperion.
Right, yeah, Hyperion or the Sentry, and I'm just like, nothing can kill you. You don't have a problem.
No, you don't.
Yeah, there's no.
Your problem is that you have morals. Like
literally, Green Arrow could be burned by his morning coffee. Like that could hurt.
That could actually potentially kill him. It legitimately could potentially kill him, depending on how it goes down.
He could get an infection from a paper cut.
Exactly.
And that could be the thing that takes him down.
Right.
The common cold could kill Arrow. It could happen.
Yeah, could happen. Hell, he could die just by walking down the street.
It wouldn't be good writing, but it could happen.
It could happen.
And that's the difference. Whereas, the things with the Flash and Supergirl.
I mean, at the very least, though, at least Flash isn't bulletproof, too.
Well, he just vibrates really fast.
True,
pretty much is invulnerable.
True, but still,
if you can move at the speed of time, then you're pretty much a god.
Fair enough.
No,
I'm not arguing that. I'm just simply saying if somebody were somehow able to get him stuck in one spot long enough, they could just take a gun to his head and go bang.
Right, but and by the same token, again, about him always being as fast as he needs to be.
Right.
Like there's always that one episode where Gorilla Grodd cold clocks him. Because somehow Gorilla Grodd is fast enough to actually punch the Flash in the face.
I know. It's like, isn't the whole idea of even if you're like a half inch away from him, he's still fast enough to dodge it? Like
right, but no. Because plot logic.
No, but they're always going like, you're the fastest thinker ever. It's like, really? Because he just got hit, and like Supergirl's actually the worst about that. The show, because they always have to work in some way where she gets knocked out of the fight. And more often than not, it's usually by a villain where you're like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Right, where you could literally like cave in someone's head with minimal effort.
Yeah, exactly.
You could just punch right through their face like it was a Mortal Kombat fatality. And
that'd be a sick Mortal Kombat fatality, even though I'm pretty sure it's been done like 1,000 times.
It definitely has. I mean, that was one thing, totally off topic, but that's one thing I always felt was lacking in Injustice series. Was like the lack of really gruesome fatalities.
Right.
Because you come to expect that from Mortal Kombat games.
Right.
But
it's not a Mortal Kombat game, though. That's the thing.
Sure, it's not.
Sure,
it's not.
We could argue the technical differences about it later.
Raiden's in it. It's a Mortal Kombat game.
No, he's not. Sub-Zero's in it.
Okay, sorry. what is Raiden in the first one? My bad.
Actually, I think Raiden is a playable character in the second one. I think he's a DLC character. But at any rate,
he's a DLC character.
It doesn't.
So, but I think back to the shows. I think they all stem from the same fundamental issue in that we've seen this before.
Right.
Like they all feel like the adventures of Lois and Clark and Smallville.
Right.
You know, like this is something that we've seen on television for the past 20 years. It's nothing new, but it's like it's just enough to keep the fandom interested, and then they throw in, you know, random characters like, oh, here's a Deadshot, and you know, like whoever else. Yeah. Kind of like, ooh, like, well, they're coming back. You know, I think like Legends of Tomorrow is arguably the worst at that. You know, Firestorm and Atom, and you're like, holy crap, they barely reaching.
They barely feature Firestorm
anymore.
And like, let me put it this way: Stein and the other half, they're always featured in the episode, but they always work in some shitty plot point.
Yeah, you know why that is? Because they're the most expensive to comp for graphics.
Exactly.
That's why.
No, but they have no problem doing. I can't even remember the character's name. I just call him Caplosis Colmerica. Like
Captain Cold?
No, not Captain Cold. I would call Captain Cold Captain Cold. He's the Patriot, I think the character's... No. The Iron Patriot or something like that. Like,
the Iron Patriot's Norman Osborn.
Yeah, you're right about that one. Hold on, because this is bothering me, and I'm going to look this up. But he... IMDb.com. Yeah, I have no idea. I can't remember his name just because I got so used to calling him Caplosis Colmerica. Caplosis Colmerica, because he looks like a cross between Colossus and Captain America.
I don't know. I don't think I've watched that far in the show.
Yeah, you're all right with that. Steel. Yeah, that's the character's name.
Oh, Steel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. As made famous by Shaq.
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah. The weapons designer who took Superman as an example.
Yeah, but they totally changed his character around. He's not that.
Yeah, that's a shame. Because actually Steel was a cool character.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
It was like the morals of Superman and the industrial knowledge of Batman.
Right.
In one dude.
Right, yeah.
Steel was cool, with a huge hammer. You just run around, like, mess people.
Just punching people in the face with it.
Oh, yeah. He just ruined people's day.
Yeah.
Steel was cool. I think that came out of the death of Superman. That and, like, the...
Yeah, he did.
Cyborg Superman, Superboy. And...
Which, by the way, gonna be totally honest with you, the whole death of Superman thing, overrated.
Yeah, it is.
It's totally overrated.
Yeah.
It's just so shocking. Oh my god, Superman died, but he was back, 8 months later,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the lamest explanation ever.
His vitals were slowed to a crawl, or wasn't that it or something?
Well, and that's pretty much what we're getting for the new Justice League. But we're going to talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
All right.
Why don't we shift on over to the big competition of just DC and Arrow, or actually, you know what? While we're actually talking about DC, Gotham. Trash. I'm gonna...
Alright, I shouldn't say trash. I love the way Gotham looks. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of, the lighting. I'm a huge fan of the makeup, the wardrobe, the cutting even looks good. I'll be honest, I keep wanting to get into Gotham. I really do. I've watched, the first few episodes of every season, hoping that it would invigorate and spark some interest and be I should watch this, or even go back and watch previous seasons and episodes. But every time I suffer from this lack of Batman. Yeah. Ultimately.
I'm gonna 375% agree with you on that one. That's how that's my problem with it. I remember watching the pilot and I was like, so there's not gonna be any Batman at all in this show, huh? I'm done.
The actor that plays the young Joker, totally kills it. And I like...
there's nothing bad with the acting in that show.
Donald
Logue. Yeah, Donald Logue's always great.
Yeah, he's awesome as well. And, there's a few other characters
I think you couldn't... I don't think you actually could have found a better actor to play Harvey Bullock.
No, definitely not. I've always remembered Harvey Bullock as, that sloppy fat guy that's eating a greasy slice of pizza from the animated series. That's how I always pictured him.
I always thought it was a donut, but either way.
Yeah, he was always eating something at this point. Donald Logue is, somehow updates that and keeps it fresh and cool. So there's things about Gotham I really want to enjoy, but at the end of the day, I'm you are a superhero show without the title superhero.
Right.
And it's the thing that, like, everyone, like, the general public hates about superhero movies is that, like, don't make us sit through another origin story. And you gave us an origin series.
Right, exactly.
You gave us, I don't know how many...
An origin series of the most fucking popular character ever.
Right, and it's like, somehow it's worse than even Smallville was. Because I can remember watching Smallville and being like, this is not great, but ultimately not terrible. Yeah. Where, like, there was still some conflict because they were, like, adolescents, and Superman was at least, like, figuring out his powers, and, like, he ultimately even became, like, proto-Superman at the beginning. I won't say he became Superman because I don't think that ever really happened, but he rocked the S on his chest and the black T-shirt. And,
he became Superboy. Let's just call it that.
Pretty much. So, like, there was, like, an evolution there that we saw coming, and, like, it happened. But, like, this actor now that plays Bruce Wayne is, like, 12, and I'm like, yeah, we're not keeping the show running for another 8 years so that way this dude can become... I don't think... Maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I'm not a big fan of Gotham at all. Like,
I really wanted to like it. I'm a huge Batman fan. I've tried. I just can't.
No, I can't do it either.
Can't get past it.
No. What do you think of the upcoming show Krypton? Because that kind of feels like it's going to be in the exact same kind of vein, only on a different channel.
On Sci-Fi.
Yeah. Ooh.
Did you even know Sci-Fi was still a network?
Actually, yes, I did.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Bless their hearts. I mean, they did give us Sharknado, so.
Actually,
What was the volcano tarantula one?
It was probably just called Volcano Tarantula.
Yeah, there was also like Croc Shark or Croco Shark or.
I mean. They're hilarious.
Bless their heart. I hope Sci-Fi continues for another 100 years.
Actually, their show Dark Matter isn't that bad.
Oh yeah, Dark Matter's pretty good.
I like it actually. I saw the first 2 seasons. The third one came up on Netflix. I got to get through.
Yeah, I haven't seen any new episodes yet. I think I saw the first few episodes of the first season, but it was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah,
I got no beef with Sci-Fi. I'm just not a Superman fan. It's just not something that I'll really be interested in checking out.
No,
I think it's definitely worth watching the pilot. It looked really cool.
I'm sure visually speaking, or at least it should be good.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Like, I think it has potential. What worries me the most is that it's on Sci-Fi.
Right. Sci-Fi
how many networks? How many networks passed up on that for it to land on Sci-Fi?
Right. Like, I mean, why couldn't Fox pick that up? They've already got Gotham.
Right, and I mean, you know that there's going to be like experiments that are going to be done to see if this show is any good, and maybe it does. The
only reason I could think of is because maybe Warner Brothers has some serious ownership of Sci-Fi. That's the only thing I could think of.
Sci-Fi is Viacom.
So no.
Viacom is, I think it's a 20th Century subdivision.
No, they own 20th Century then.
Viacom. No, other way around. Fox would own Viacom.
You sure it's that way?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that right now.
I'd have to look it up. I don't remember.
I just remember learning in high school that there was 5 companies that own everything, pretty much. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Welcome to the late stage capitalism of America 2017.
The Illuminati's real.
Yeah, it's worse than that. It's the group behind the Illuminati. It's the secret group that's the secret even to the Illuminati. All right, anyway. I don't know. I'll check out the pilot. Not honestly, right off the bat, not my cup of tea, but that's no reason to like totally shy off from it. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
TBD. I'm gonna leave that as a TBD.
All right. Now we can move on over to the other guys. Let's talk about Marvel as a whole. Great.
I hate Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And this is where we're going to disagree. Because I understand why the first season was a little slow to get into, but I liked it. I liked it personally, but...
God, it's like NCIS with superheroes.
Kinda.
It is, yeah, it's NCIS with superheroes. It's like NCIS, didn't they do like NCIS Hawaii or NCIS like New Orleans?
I think they've done an NCIS in just about every single major city but Boston at this point.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty much that. Yeah. Like, it's pretty much that. And like with no good superheroes. Like, almost every other episode there's like, Phil Coulson's like looking out a window, drinking coffee, and goes, "Oh my God, there's Iron Man!" It's like, "Oh, is he gonna stop to help us?" It's like, "No, he's busy."
Yeah, nah. I mean, that's the way the first season was again, but I get it. I mean, honestly, man, this past season was fucking epic.
I hated what they did with Ghost Rider, and I hated that it bled into the comics.
It actually came from the comics.
I don't know what happened first.
Robbie with the car?
Yeah.
The comics came first.
No.
The comics came first, so you can't be mad at the show for that one. Ha ha!
I don't know. That felt predetermined to me.
Maybe, I don't know. His comic got canceled though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Ghost Rider needs to be on a motorcycle.
Oh no, I totally agree with that.
Because he's not Ghost Driver.
No, I 110% agree with you on that one. However, that doesn't change the fact that every time he showed up, it was pretty freaking metal.
All right, so like not to divulge too far, but I've always been like a big Ghost Rider comic book fan, reader, avid reader, and like that comic book character since like 2000 and I'm going to call it like 2011, like has been like passed like a hot potato between creative teams. Like it hasn't had like the same look or the same writers for more than like 3 to 6 months at a time. Like it's just been kind of like passed around. There's been not a lot of interest for it. That one I kind of blame on like Nicolas Cage and like those movies, because it just really like low key. It feels like people at Marvel are like, we're kind of good with this right now. Like we don't really need like the demon. Right? He's a good supporting character and he comes in occasionally.
Well, he is kind of a supporting character.
He is kind of a supporting character, but like he had comics like in the late. Like in the late 80s through the 90s and even early 2000s, that were brutal, that were awesome. And I'm a huge fan of like the John Constantine kind of mix between like action, horror, sci-fi. I mean, that's my bread and butter. That's the stuff I live for. And like Ghost Rider was like awesome for that. And like they've passed off the mantle to Ghost Rider, I think twice in the past 5 years, which is like
I think it's been more than that, to be quite honest with you.
We might actually even be on 3.
Because there was a woman who was a Ghost Rider too.
That's what I mean.
I can't remember her name, but
it was something.
Because she was
from South America. I don't remember her name.
She wasn't a Ghost Rider for very long though either, right?
No. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it was Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch were the 2 Ghost Riders for ever. Yeah. You know, and like they only passed off the mantle once inside of 25 years, or even more, and then they did it like 3 times in like 2 years, and you were like,
I do like the idea though that how there's now kind of more than one Spirit of Vengeance. There's kind of like a Ghost Rider Corps. Which kind of feels like, you know, I just think it's a more metal version of the Green Lantern Corps, basically. It
would be cool if it would actually like worked out that way.
Are you sure? Like, there's only one Spirit of Vengeance? I thought there was more than one at a time going at some point. At some points, there have been more than one at a time.
There's like other spirits that are similar to Ghost Rider in the Spirit of Vengeance.
Okay.
So I know there's a couple other demons like that. I don't know. It gets super like.
Comic booky?
Yeah, it gets super... Right, that's a future podcast, right? When comic books get too comic booky.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Right, like the Summers Gray, like family line.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that would a mess.
Yeah. I mean, however, though, we will definitely talk about that one, because I can tell you're chomping at the bit to rant and rave about that one.
Ghost Rider? Yeah, I can...
I was actually talking about the Summers family tree, but
still... Oh, that's just a mess. That's
like so many other things in the comic books.
Speaking of messes and mutants.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. That is a good segue. I was actually going to segue into saying, no matter how badly you trash Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it is definitely better than Inhumans.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
And I've only seen the pilot episode so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a comparison. Like, stepping in poop is worse than is worse than a root canal. And you're like, yeah. But I don't prefer either.
True enough, but still.
Like, definitely one's more painful to have to sit through.
It's kind of like what I always say, yeah, sure, the Revenge of the Sith was the best of the prequel trilogies. That still doesn't mean it is good. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah, that's the perfect analogy. Yeah. It's the Revenge of this, yes.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just, I mean, I know you haven't seen it yet, have you?
No. I've only ever seen, like, the sneak peeks and, like, a couple of the first scenes. Just because I could tell right away from watching it, I was like, this looks...
I wasn't going to be a big fan of it.
No.
And unfortunately, because I'm so wrapped up in the majority of the Marvel Universe and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I got no choice. I got to tough through it. Because there's supposed to be like a crossover episode later coming on.
I mean... Yeah.
It's already been canceled. It's not going past...
Has it already been canceled?
It's already been canceled, and it's not going to go past November when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back to take that time slot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would they get 6 episodes?
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
Exactly,
that sucks.
Which, okay, I will say this, because to be fair to the show, at least, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the early critics were saying when it came out and was released on IMAX.
It was worse.
No, it wasn't worse, but it was still pretty bad. Like, I'm not going to change that fact.
It was worse.
It was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah.
It was just... Because you know what it was? It's just kind of like, so it's like the whole thing is like... what's his name? Maximus. Black Bolt's brother is all like, oh yeah, like, no, you're a terrible king, I want to take over the throne, and Black Bolt's like, no. Yeah, he doesn't say anything because he's fucking Black Bolt.
Black Bolt goes,
Not even that, but the point is, though, it's like, everybody's like trying to warn him, like, Black Bolt, you should be careful, like, he's kind of evil. We think he's evil. We think he's going to do something shady and try and double cross you, and Black Bolt's kind of like, meh, he's my brother. I trust him. Like, but he's got the ear of the workers. Black Bolt. He seriously might betray you. Like, nah.
He's got the ear of the workers. Did they try to overthrow the proletarian here? Like, was this like the Bolshevik Revolution in humans?
Kinda, sorta. Because in all honesty, like, apparently the humans, the Inhumans that go through Terrigenesis and come out the other side, still human or working in the coal mines, and it's just.
There's coal mines?
Something like that, yeah. And
what year is this?
2017.
Oh my god.
On the moon.
Oh my god. No. I've got...
And this kind of just plays into, like, what you always say about the Inhumans and how they're just, like, completely immoral scumbags.
They are.
Yeah,
I have a huge problem.
Well, they originally debuted as villains against the Fantastic Four, so what do you expect?
I know.
Yeah.
It's like Namor.
Yeah. Well, Namor was even older than the Fantastic Four, but we don't need to get into that now.
No, we don't. But he's also an asshole.
Oh, he's very much an asshole.
Yeah.
He's kind of, every time I see Namor, I'm kind of like, I kind of miss Aquaman.
Imperatus Rex.
What does that even mean? Like,
Imperatus Rex?
I think I've looked that up.
Hail to the king.
Hail to the king. That's what it means?
Yeah, Imperatus Rex.
Well, now I hate him even more. Like,
I think so. My Latin's correct.
I know Rex means king. That's a definite.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Imperatus Rex.
I think it's actually made up.
No.
I don't know. Latin's a kind of...
I'll look it up later.
Yeah.
I've never liked the Inhumans. I've got a huge beef with them, especially after
what's been going on in the comics recently.
Yeah.
With the whole X-Men thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not a fan.
Cyclops was right.
Cyclops was right, yo. Cyclops.
I gotta go back and reread.
I'm gonna buy that T-shirt.
I gotta go back and reread.
The one that he's talking about, the AVX, is one day there's gonna be a little mutant kid walking around that shows up at your doorstep of your school with a T-shirt that says Cyclops was right. They sell them on Amazon.
I'm sure they do.
Cyclops was right, except I hate Cyclops. Like,
I think everybody hates Cyclops.
He's just a tool.
He is such a tool.
He's just such a tool.
He's become... Like, I actually read something, too, like, the moment when he actually became a tool, and that was kind of like... It was, like, in the early 2000s when he, like, behind closed doors, like, re-sanctioned not Task Force X, the X Factor.
The X-Force, when he got Laura Kinney to go on an assassination mission, even though Wolverine told him not to. And then Cyclops was pretty like, well, she already did it. We're starting up the team, and I want you to take care of it now. Bye!
Yeah, no, he's a fucking dick.
Yeah, he was a dick before that. He was a dick.
I know, but that's kind of like...
He was a dick in the Chris Claremont era.
That was kind of like the peak of his dickish.
Yeah, he's always been a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I will do whatever I can, so long as Professor X tells me it's okay.
Yeah.
Gene, why do you love him too?
There are some, like, Marvel shows on TV right now that I do like, that I do feel like it's worth it. So it's just so that way I'm not on this constant trend of just hating everything. Because I feel like, too current, everything we've talked about I hate.
Yeah, true enough.
Or maybe hate's too strong a word, but, like, don't like watch, have no interest in.
Fine, fair enough.
But I thought Legion was great.
Is that show get picked up for a second season?
I think so. I hope so. I haven't seen anything about it, but if The Gifted is coming out on Fox, or is out already on Fox...
which I have not seen yet.
I really am hoping for a second season of Legion, because they left it in a really cool place. And I think it felt kind of fresh that it didn't feel like it was constantly bashing me over the head with, like, these are superheroes. Look at these superheroes. Remember this superhero. Like, it doesn't keep doing that, and it's definitely even more subtle with, like, the superheroes that they did have in it. Like, the Shadow King was the main villain of last season,
right.
But they never identified him as the Shadow King until, like, the 5th or 6th episode, where, like... You know,
and by that point, the season was like over, right? It was like a short.
I mean, yeah,
I think it was just a pretty short season.
It was like 8 or 10. It went on for a while. I think it was 10.
10.
But like, and by the time we got to it, I had kind of like put together that this was the Shadow King just from like the clips that they showed and just knowing what like Farouk, I forget his last name, Farouk something.
I'm not familiar with the Shadow King.
I forget what.
You're a bigger X-Men fan than I am.
I am. So. I forget what Farouk's last name is, but like they kind of like showed him like real. Like quick and like short little clips and stuff, and I'm like pretty sure that's the Shadow King. And it was nice that they kind of like worked it over time and weren't like over the top with it.
Right.
Same thing with like the mutant powers that people had. I don't think they ever even referred to people as mutants. You know, there was no like reference to the X-Men or Charles Xavier.
Because it took place in the 60s, didn't it? Like, that was the thing about it. Like, it took place like just before.
See, that was like weird because they never really they never really nailed in the timeline for us.
What, did they suddenly like whip out cell phones and stuff like that?
No, they didn't do that. They never like whipped out cell phones, and like they had like technology that was definitely like in and a reminiscent of the 60s, but then there was like all that sci-fi. So like Bryan Singer's like X-Men movies of recent, right?
Right.
Where you're like, wait, this takes place in the 60s? How did they build that?
Right.
It's like that, you know, where you're like, how did you build Cerebro again? Because that's like,
pretty advanced.
Do that now. You know what I mean? Like, even in 40 years from now, you'd have a hard time doing that. And you busted that out in, like, 1960 whatever. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of like that. They never, like, put, like, a hard stamp on it. But lots of great music. And I really like The Who. They had David Bowie. They had They had T-Rex in it. And I was a huge fan of T-Rex.
Like, all the 60s, like, mod rock and everything.
Yeah, tons of, like, mod rock, which is, like, one of my favorite, like, genres and subgenres of rock and roll.
Right.
Like that, like, weird, mod pop, glam rock.
Like that whole, like, we're trying to be psychedelic but still appeal to the masses kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like we're psychedelic and guys dress like girls and, like, we take a lot of, like, hallucinogens and, yeah.
Sounds like my Friday night.
Right?
I wish. Yeah, no, I totally get you on that one. I mean, I only saw the pilot of it and, like, I meant to really get into it, but, like...
That's good.
Life.
Editing's great. Music was great.
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey Plaza is just hilarious...
And scary. Which I think we've talked about this before. She kind of does that very well.
Yeah, she's hilarious and scary, like, all at the same time.
Like, it's just kind of weird because, like, no matter what, I kind of always just visualize her as just April Ludgate. Like...
Yeah, I think that's kind of, like, who she probably most likely is.
Yeah, no, like, have you ever seen interviews with her?
Yeah.
It's pretty... Yeah.
I mean,
like, I feel like the entire cast of Parks and Recreation, with the exception of Chris Pratt and... what's her name? The lead. What was her name? I can't...
Leslie
Knope, yeah. I feel like those are, like, the only two characters that were, like, the most different from who they are in real life.
And I even feel like they're that different.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're all pretty similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the Netflix shows?
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into this because I think we've covered them off.
Right.
I love the Netflix shows, and I'm really excited for Punisher. The only notable exception I'll add to that is the Iron Fist, just because I really wanted to like that show. I'm a huge Iron Fist fan also as well. Like, I rock an Iron Fist t-shirt all the time. Like,
I've seen it.
One of my favorite t-shirts. Huge fan of the character. Loved Luke Cage. Loved Jessica Jones. Loved Daredevil. Iron Fist was very disappointing.
Right.
The Defenders...
I feel like the Defenders fell on its face.
Yeah, just because it, it kind of... I feel like that train really, slowed down. Like, we had Daredevil, and it was off to a rocket start, and Jessica Jones came out, and we were all like, okay.
It's like, I like this, but you could have used 3 less episodes.
Right, 3 to 5 less episodes. Like, it was just a little too long, but overall, everyone was like, we're cool with this, we like it still, positively reviewed. Yeah. Luke Cage went back up a little bit. People really liked Luke Cage. I like Luke Cage. Music was great. Marsha Ali did a killer job.
And then they killed Marsha Ali.
That was the biggest mistake that show had.
That was the biggest mistake.
Because after spoiler alert, after Marsha Ali died as Cottonmouth, that villain that they brought in, Copperhead, who's actually like a Luke Cage villain in the comics, just like that dude was like one note, super flat, just didn't.
I'm gonna kill you. Like, that's all he said. Like,
it didn't really carry the rest of the story. So like we were kind of on like shaky but positive ground, and then Iron Fist came out, and everyone.
You forgot about Daredevil season 2 though.
I was counting Daredevil season 2 as just Daredevil.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because Daredevil Season 2 had the Punisher, and everybody was all about that.
Yeah, which is why he's getting his own show.
Damn right.
Which I can't wait for.
For sure.
Kind of. I don't know, like, it's just because of the whole Iron Fist was so bad, and, and like we were just saying, how Defenders just kind of fell flat. Like, I'm very, very, like, worrisome about what's going to happen with Punisher.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more trepidatious than I was.
Yeah.
And, like, this time last year, if you had asked me, they'd be like, hey, what do you think about, like, these new Marvel upcoming shows? And my reaction would pretty much be, like, emphatically, like, hell yes.
Yeah.
Now I kind of look at them and I'm like, I'm, going to be a little bit more cautious with my expectations. just because I'm not entirely sure.
Right.
I still think what's his name? John. What's his name? The guy that's playing
Brenthal.
Yes. I mean, he was the best part of The Walking Dead for the first season.
Actually, the guy who created the Punisher said that John Brenthal's his favorite interpretation of the character.
I believe that.
Yeah, no.
I really like Thomas Jane Punisher.
I honestly remember. I remember when they were talking about rumors as to who would play who would play the Punisher. Tom Hardy's name got thrown into the mix. And I was kind of like, they're not going to get Tom Hardy for a TV show, not like that. Of course, then right immediately after, Tom Hardy does a TV show on FX.
Taboo. Which I haven't seen. But
neither have I. I hear good things about it.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen it. It's one of the show. It's one of those shows where I've been like meaning to catch it, and every time I see a promo for it, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta watch that. But I very rarely watch FX except for Archer and American Horror Story.
Exactly. But when they announced that John Brenthal was going to play the Punisher, I was like, that's a good move. That's a good call.
And he killed it.
He did kill it.
And that's the thing is he's really
saved,
dedicated.
Honestly, I think he saved the second season.
And he's like super dedicated to like the roles that he takes on, and he does like a really strong job with them. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it, but at the back of my head, I'm thinking to myself like, with that guy in the lead as this kind of a character, having seen what I saw from The Walking Dead, I don't know how it can be bad. The only way it can be bad is with subpar casting on the other side as the villain.
I'll totally agree with you on that, though. That John Brenthal was awesome. I am looking forward to the Punisher series. It's just like I said, I am holding off on it. I'm reserving my excitement for it just because
When is that?
It got pushed back. It got pushed back because of what happened in Vegas, which that was a horrible tragedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that right now.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Was it supposed to be this month?
I think it was supposed to come out like today.
No kidding.
I think.
Oof.
Yeah. We don't need to like delve too much into that. It just was a horrible thing that happened, and yeah. But on to lighter things. Speaking of actually John Brenthal,
yeah, we've got some other comic books, and these are just kind of like comic book shows that are outside of the Marvel and DC, which
like The Walking Dead.
Love the first few seasons.
I loved it all the way up until the fifth season. Which
one was that? The one where they walk around and kill walkers until they find sanctuary, but then ultimately have to leave because someone ruins it for them, and walkers come back and infiltrate the city?
The very one, sir.
Yeah, okay.
The very one. Yeah, no, like that was the one. Like for me, that was just it because like not only did I get sick and tired of just the show's premise in general, but that was the season where the first half of it they focused on Beth a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got mad at the fan base because everyone was like, man, Beth is awful. Beth sucks. And then she dies, and everyone's like, I miss Beth. I'm like, fuck you. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like.
I thought that The Walking Dead was like really strong from the start, and I think the problem that The Walking Dead has is that it's kind of like chasing its own tail.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the comic is still ongoing.
Right.
So, but obviously the show can't go for as long as the comic does and will do. I mean, the comic can almost run indefinitely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's the thing about comic books is that there's always some big grandiose thing, and it costs no more money to make the 500th episode than it does to make the first episode.
Right.
Where in real life, when you're dealing with actors, like they expect to be paid more over time. Everybody does.
Right, exactly. Budgets get involved.
Right, budgets gets involved. So like there's that kind of thing. So I don't know that that's my main issue with The Walking Dead is I kind of feel like it's one of those shows where I'm like, if you guys let me know that you're gonna wrap it up, I'd start watching again. Because right now it feels like we're kind of doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
It's been great. It's been a lot of fun to watch. I like the addition of what's his name, Negan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I always want to call him Denny Duquette from Grey's Anatomy because he was Denny Duquette.
I'd never watched Grey's Anatomy, but go right ahead. Your girlfriend works for them, so I understand.
She does, so I've seen a lot of it.
Right.
He played a very heartbreaking character on it. I got really excited because I was like, oh my god, it's the comedian.
Oh yeah, the comedian.
Yeah, and yeah, he dies in everything that he's in, so he's eventually going to die. But
wait,
yeah,
so is he kind of like Sean Bean, is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If Jeffrey Dean Morgan is something, he played Batman's dad in Batman v Superman.
I don't count that.
That counts. He died. I don't care if you count it or not. He dead.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he dead. So he dies in everything.
I mean, he's gonna die because he plays the big bad. So
I mean, he's the American version of Sean Bean.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Ours is better. England.
Scene Bean.
Scene Bean.
Scene Bean.
Scene Bean.
I hate that he doesn't call himself that. By the way, the main villain in Punisher this year, just to backtrack for a second, the main Punisher and the new villain, the new villain for Punisher, Jigsaw.
I'm unfamiliar with Jigsaw.
Jigsaw was a mobster that the Punisher royally messed up in the face to where it was all like cut up, and then he adopted the pseudonym Jigsaw because his face looked like a jigsaw puzzle.
He's dead in the comics, isn't he?
Jigsaw?
Yeah.
I don't know. Does anyone really stay dead?
True enough, but I'm just saying he's a Punisher. Uncle Ben and the Waynes. That's about it.
Yeah, but even Thomas came back for a hot minute. And Martha. Flashpoint.
Oh, right.
Parallel universes don't count.
Parallel universes don't count?
Right, yeah. Uncle Ben. That's the constant.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben's always dead.
Until... No,
yeah, right. Next summer, Spider-Ben.
Spider-Ben. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that existed at one point, but at any rate...
It definitely did. Yeah, and then there's other shows like Preacher.
I have not seen an episode of Preacher.
Loved it. Loved the comic. Love Warren Ellis and Garth Ennis, rest in peace. Loved their work on Preacher. It was one of my favorite comics of all times. The show has been super fun to watch. My only thing about Preacher, the show, is that it's just not as graphic as the graphic novel. And that's a very small one because it's on AMC and it's still plenty gross and still plenty messed up. Right. And I don't know how much more live action gross I could actually take, but part of me wants to know.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I can't really say anything on it simply because, like I said before, I haven't seen it. And we gotta... honestly, like, there's really not much more I can say. Like, are there any other TV shows that are based on comics? Like, is Dark Matter based on a comic book? I feel like it is.
I feel like there's a few other, like, smaller ones that I'm not, like The Tick.
Well, The Tick was funny.
The Tick is funny.
The Tick was funny. I think, like, now is a good time for The Tick to come back.
Yeah.
Just because of how oversaturated we are with comics.
First season was great. I hated
all 6 episodes of it?
I hated that it was so short. I was like...
I know.
I felt like by the time I was, like, really into it and I was really excited for the next episode, it was over.
Yeah,
and
I know,
like,
right? And it ends on, like, the biggest plug ever for an Amazon product.
Yeah, I know.
It was hilarious. Like, does Amazon have stake in vitamin water, by the way? Because I remember seeing a lot of vitamin water in that series.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I'm sure that they do. Yeah, exactly. Every time, that was one thing about The Tick that was a little gross, was the amount of product placement.
Right.
But
and it wasn't even the fact that there was product placement, because let's be real here, all those shows at some point do product placements. Of course. It's just how blatant and disgusting.
So blatant.
And it wasn't even, like, funny and tongue-in-cheek, like, Arrested Development did that one time when Burger King was the sponsor.
Right.
It's a wonderful restaurant. It sure is. Like,
yep.
But yeah, no. Did you ever see The Awesomes? Actually,
yeah, that was on Hulu. Yeah,
that was on Hulu. I liked The Awesomes.
Yeah,
I thought that show was. I was so upset that I found out wasn't.
That was Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers. Yeah, that was probably his best work, other than maybe what he's been doing on
Professor Doctor.
Proctor. Yeah. And what was his best friend's name again? It was something awful.
Oh yeah. I remember they had Malocchio.
Malocchio was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And there was Perfect Man, which was his brother. That was Seth Meyers' brother.
Was it his brother? It wasn't his brother in the show.
I wanted to say Mike. No, it was his brother in real life.
No, I mean in the show.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. I want to say Mike Myers, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
No, that's the guy from the Halloween movies.
And it's also the guy from Austin Powers.
Right, I know.
What if it is? Guy. Yeah, same guy. Exact same guy.
Exact same guy. He's had a long career, that guy.
Yeah, very long career.
How does he find the time?
I have no idea. First he's killing sluts, and then he's making people laugh.
They were just promiscuous young women, okay? There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying that's what the trope... I don't say the trope... I don't name the trope, I just recite the name, so...
Yeah. I mean, there's so many superhero-inspired shows out there. But I think for live actions, I feel like we've rounded out a lot. I mean, did we forget any? I mean...
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean...
Viewers, if you're still listening, let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Viewers, if you're still listening on this recorded podcast.
Comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe.
No,
but seriously, do that, folks.
Yes, donate.
Yeah, I think that's kind of all we can say about the comic books.
I think that there's obviously more coming, right? This trend isn't stopping.
Oh, dude, we've still
love it.
We've still got all the freeform shows coming out soon, which is going to consist of Cloak and Dagger, which
awful.
No,
absolutely awful.
No,
I've got no interest.
They're lame characters in the comic books.
Yeah,
they're lame in the comic books. It's like, ooh, she like throws knives and he creates portals. Ooh, like.
You would think that characters called Cloak and Dagger would do something cooler than have pithy little teen drama issues.
Right.
With, I'm going to assume, the plot of, like, drug dealers selling to kids.
Right.
I'm assuming the plot. You heard it now. That's my hot take.
I'm pretty sure that is the plot of Cloak and Dagger.
Is it?
I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because what else do teenagers have to deal with? That's, like, big scale, you know?
Big zit on prom.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Scuff dad's car.
Right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's
I haven't been a teenager in a long time.
Right.
So,
like, you know, there's
God.
Runaways coming out. There's Krypton coming out.
Yeah.
There's Cloak and Dagger coming out. Like you said, Punisher's coming out. Like, we're definitely not on the other side of this trend. I would say we're probably somewhere, like, past the crest and on the downturn.
Yeah.
But I still feel like that downturn is a long ways away.
It's going to be a long one, especially considering the fact that, I mean, all the Marvel TV shows, not counting, you know, like
Gifted
and stuff like that, they tie into the MCU loosely. Which, to be honest, if it's one thing that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does right, it actually ties into the main movies better than the rest. Even if it is just that little, like, oh look, Iron Man's flying past us. Like, right. It's still, the point is, he's still there.
Right.
Off screen.
What was that? Powerless was that show on
I didn't see Powerless.
NBC.
I feel like that premise could have worked.
I thought it was really funny, if we're being honest. Like, I really thought it was funny. I probably watched too much of it. Like, I probably didn't warrant watching past the second episode.
Right.
But it was one of those shows, like, you know, it's like 22 minutes of funny content about superheroes. And it was like, meh.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this.
Apparently there's one on Crackle that I haven't checked out yet called Super Mansion. I haven't really watched that one yet.
I saw it. It's from the creators of Robot Chicken with, it's got Bryan
Cranston.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, Bryan Cranston, sure. Robot Chicken, I feel like that show should have been taken off the air like 5 years ago.
I got no beef with Robot Chicken.
I got no beef with it. I'll
throw on Robot Chicken for some mindless entertainment at any point.
Fair enough.
I'll probably put on some Robot Chicken after we wrap up this podcast now because you brought it up.
Fair enough.
Robot Chicken!
You know what, though? Speaking of Runaways, we might as well just segue into this because we got to start wrapping this up soon. This past weekend, I should say, was New York City Comic Con, which is like the second biggest out of all the cons, pretty much, after San Diego, more or less. Let's just do a quick rundown.
Someone should have a con.
What?
Someone should have a con where like all the cons get together for a con. Like San Diego Comic Con, Rhode Island Comic Con, New York Comic Con, and like put it on the movie.
Dude, don't mention Rhode Island Comic Con to me right now because every 5 minutes I follow them on Facebook and my friends like are constantly sending me messages back. I feel like I should have waited one more year to move out to the West Coast.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll try and get tickets for San Diego Comic Con. Or we can just go to Los Angeles Comic Con.
Which is happening soon.
Is.
At any rate, yeah. So, anyway, speaking of the Runaways, why don't we just delve right into the trailers, the big trailers that we want to talk about. And Runaways kind of ties into everything. I think you and I are both in complete and utter agreement with it. Nope.
I'm good.
No, I'm all set with the Runaways.
I'm aight.
I like the comic book, but this feels like it's going to be at least a trailer. I don't know. I'll watch the pilot. I'll give it a fair chance, and I will watch the pilot at least. But I really do feel like it could. What's the phrase I'm looking for? It feels like it's going to be like way too teen drama-y, like Cloak and Dagger. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong because the comic book was actually pretty nuts. I liked it. I know you didn't like it.
I didn't like the Runaways.
No.
I just wasn't a fan. It didn't do anything for me. I don't think that the TV show is going to do anything for me.
No.
It just feels like what my inherent problem with like The Gifted and like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is and what Cloak and Dagger might be.
Right.
And like it's like somewhere between like this pithy little teen drama and like just enough superhero like intrigue to keep the fandom interested, to keep viewership up, so to keep it ongoing.
So it basically just fit. If it were to be in the Arrowverse, it would fit in pretty well. is what you're basically saying to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as I said before, and I'll say it again, that is my biggest problem with the Arrowverse, is that it's on the CW. Mm-hmm. If you were to take those shows and put them on like an adult network like NBC, at the very least, it'd probably be a lot better, just because there would be less focus on all of the, teen drama stuff.
Right. But trailers we are excited for.
Ooh, what did I... Oh, yeah, Pacific Rim. Fuck yes.
I don't swear on out loud, so I'm glad you said it. But yeah.
Fuck yes, dude. Like, I cannot wait for that movie. Because we're watching the first one right now, actually. I mean...
Yeah, it's been on the TV. We're just at the mind melding scene. But listen, I will watch mechs fighting giant or Jaegers fighting kaijus all damn day, every day, 365 days out of the year. I will probably buy 2 tickets back to back, so that way we can watch it, and then I just need to go back out, get more Milk Duds and popcorn, run back in, watch it again.
I definitely think that we should just do that, and we should just still have the projector. Play it on repeat. We want to go for 3 in one day.
I'm going for the hat trick, guy.
Just rewind it.
Right.
Rewind it. We're
going
good.
For the hat trick, guy. No, I can. I like that John Boyega is in it. I guess he's playing. What is it? Stryker? Is that the guy's name?
We'll just go with Stryker.
Yeah, whatever. Colonel Stryker.
Heimdall.
Yeah, Heimdall. He's playing Heimdall's son. It just looks totally badass. There's Jaegers fighting Jaegers in the trailer, which is something that I thought was really interesting, and I'm wondering if that's like combat training simulation, or if that's like geopolitical instability.
I think that from what the trailers were hinting at, that it is geopolitical instability, and it just basically feels like, North America, America and Russia finally start a war, and then the monsters show up again, like.
Right, they accelerated the Jaeger program because it was like almost like
a weapons race,
the nuclear arms race. Yeah. Right, okay, same type of thing, and they were using the Jaegers instead of bombs because mutually assured destruction.
Right.
Maybe. I was wondering maybe if it was like training exercise, because I feel like the little like geopolitical subplot would be a little ham-handed, personally.
But at the end of the day, it's just to be giant robots fighting giant monsters, so who cares?
Yeah.
What about Justice League?
I mean, the more time that goes on, I'm just really waiting for that solo Aquaman movie.
Right? Like,
I could care less.
When did you think you were ever going to say that in your life?
You know what? Nobody likes Aquaman, but everybody likes Jason Momoa.
That is fair enough.
Like,
did you ever watch? Just to get off topic a little bit, did you see the Netflix show he was in?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see the whole
Frontier.
thing. Yeah, Frontier. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that first episode, I was like, okay.
Brutal.
I'm scared.
Brutal.
I am scared.
He's a scary dude.
Yeah.
And he was in a movie not that long ago, for trying to remember. It's actually produced by Vice. It was like about like the whole like the Bad Batch. Oh yeah. If you get a chance, it's on Netflix. It was produced by Vice. Jim Carrey's in it also, and Jason Momoa plays a cannibal in like this post-apocalyptic wasteland, like south of the border in Mexico, and it is just absolutely nuts. There's like maybe 30 lines of dialogue in the whole movie, and it's about like an hour and 40 minutes, but it is fantastic.
All right, I'll have to check it out then.
So good.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey like steals the movie, and Jim Carrey does not have a single line. Literally, does not speak one word.
Jim Carrey is actually a very underrated actor, I feel.
I agree.
But at any rate, back to it. Justice League, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, as much as shit as I will talk about their movies, DC knows how to cut a trailer. Mm-hmm. DC does know how to cut a trailer. And do you know what the... somebody pointed this out to me online. Do you know what the biggest thing about that trailer... The biggest little thing you could take away from that trailer is? All the characters smile in it at some point.
Yeah, I sent that to you. All the characters say... Yeah. You know how I got these scars?
Yeah. Kinda, yeah. I mean... Here's hoping that now that Joss Whedon is steering the helm, that it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, but... I mean, I definitely think, at least for this movie, I feel like Zack Snyder got enough of his hands in it to where it's still going to feel like a Snyder movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be gritty and moody and...
With like one or two quick pop.
And I feel like that's the Joss Whedon injection.
Yeah.
Of some smiles and some funny.
Yeah.
Which exactly. I think it needs. Like, I think it can't... Yeah. I think DC can't sustain itself on, like, being this moody, gritty... Like, no fun zone.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like we've touched on this before. It's like people give the Marvel movies flack for being a little, they're just so lighthearted compared to the DC movies. It's like, there's some really dark stuff that happens in Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it before. The first Guardians movie opens up with a 12-year-old boy watching his mom die from cancer. Tony pretty much loses anybody who's ever said that I love you, Tony, to him throughout it, except for Rhodey becomes a cripple. Uncle Ben. Just like all that
Tony
kind
Stark's
of stuff.
parents.
Tony Stark's parents. That was brutal, actually.
Yeah.
Captain America watching.
But it's like the origin stories of the DC characters are no more like brutal or
right.
They're just obsessed about them.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like they're no more tragic and they're no more brutal than their Marvel counterparts.
Right.
They just can't shut up about it.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Holy crap, Batman! We know your parents are dead.
Exactly.
My parents are dead.
I love that image. I will never get tired of that image.
I'll see it. What can I say?
Of course, I'm definitely gonna go see it. What about going the other way with Thor?
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah, indeed. What was I saying? It looked like a cross between like Flash Gordon and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is accurate. And actually, I think we need to like watch Flash Gordon and then go see. And maybe like take a tab of acid.
I'm down.
At the start
I'm
of the day.
so down.
At the start of the day, because I think that's the only way anyone's ever going to get through Flash Gordon and Thor in a single day. Just because they look so like psychedelic and trippy.
This actually looks like it could be the good Thor movie.
You know what?
I don't mind the first one, but
I'm just talking like second. I don't mind either of them.
No, I don't mind either. I think the second one gets a bad rap.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. I thought the second one got a needlessly bad rap because it came at a time of low points in superhero movies.
Like, how does anybody top the Avengers? Basically,
right. I think I've always wondered if like Batman vs Superman came out before Thor 2, how would we look at Thor 2? Or if like Suicide Squad came out before Thor 2, how would we look at? Is Thor 2 a complete story? Yes. Does it have flaws? Definitely. Is it as bad as those other two movies I mentioned previously in the superhero category?
Not really.
Hell no.
No. I've seen it twice actually. And like, it does give the example of Marvel does sometimes have weak villains, but I mean, I think so far the two villains we've gotten this year from them in the movies have been pretty solid.
Right.
To actually technically four, because they hint. I don't want to give it away because I know you haven't seen it yet, but we've had Ego.
Yep.
The Vulture was the main big bad in Spider-Man, and Michael Keaton knocked that one out of the park.
You're not really giving anything away there.
Yeah. The Shocker. Yeah, sure, he was kind of like the sub-boss, but he was still entertaining. He was still good, and they hint at a third Spider-Man villain coming. I don't want to give it too much away, or do you not care?
Rhino.
No, not Rhino.
Wait, let me guess. Mysterio.
Nope.
Wait, let me guess. Hobgoblin?
Nope. I wish the Hobgoblin.
I know, me too. I was really that one. Not Venom.
No, not Venom. You want a hint?
Yeah, give me a hint.
He's a bug.
He's a bug.
Yep.
Firefly's not one of Spider-Man's. He's a bug. Who?
Scorpion.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Matt
Gargan. Yeah, they show Matt Gargan.
You know what? I'm pretty sure that scorpions are arachnids, not bugs.
I thought arachnids were bugs. Was there a difference?
8 legs to 6.
No, I thought that was the difference between insect and arachnid. It's like there's bug, then there's insect, then there's arachnid, then there's whatever the heck centipedes are. Like.
Yeah. No. Okay. Fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Semantics.
And because we gotta start wrapping.
What else is on trailers?
The big one. Star Wars.
Oh hell yeah.
Yes.
Oh hell yeah.
Yes. There's only one problem I had with the trailer.
I still think Snoke is Jar Jar Binks.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm right.
I hope you are so wrong.
I hope I'm right.
All right, fine. A part of me hopes you're right, but
yeah,
still,
exactly.
That'd be like the biggest twist out of anything.
Snoke.
Misa will turn you all to the dark side.
Misa killed all the Jedi.
Yeah, there's just one thing about the trailer I didn't like, and it was just that little freaking penguin thing.
Oh, what's his name? It's
I don't know what they're called.
It's like
they're penguins.
Glop or something.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, as a replacement for Han Solo, underwhelmed.
I don't think it's a replacement for Han Solo.
But imagine if he had like a little vest and blaster and he just went around shooting people first.
Exactly. First is the most important thing.
Oh yeah, that's the most important.
What was that robot chicken? Well, I think it was like, no, it wasn't a robot chicken. It was like some video I saw online of just like Han Solo always shoots first, and it's literally just him shoots Greedo in the cantina, and then it's just him running around saying Han Solo always shoots first. Like it goes back to the Revolutionary War. Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Right. Han Solo always shoots first. But yeah, everything else about the trailer just. I was like, oh my god, like the walkers?
Yeah.
Oh my god, those walkers look scary, like so scary and so badass. I'm like, yes.
I know.
Yes.
I'm hoping that we finally get to see some like Imperial battles that like really like we had Imperial battles in Rogue One that just like felt intense. You know what I mean? Like
oh, you mean like the final like the dogfight scene at the end?
Like the dogfight scenes, but even like the combat on the ground. Like I feel like in previous movies that like it just didn't really like it didn't have a lot of weight in them. Like right. Hoth was like pretty good.
Hoth was great
for what it was at the time in the original movie. Like Hoth was like pretty good. And then we had like Rogue One where it was like it felt like Saving Private Ryan, right? Where you're like, oh my god, like I could see like rebel soldiers getting PTSD. They even talk about having PTSD. And
oh yeah, they
were messed up.
That is, like I mean that is the one thing. Like I got a friend who doesn't like that movie. I'm just kind of like. I mean, yeah, I admit it doesn't feel like your average Star Wars movie, which it doesn't, but I just am like, it's just a really good heist movie set in the Star Wars universe.
I'm cool with Star Wars movies not feeling like Star Wars movies, because you know what happens when Star Wars movies feel like Star Wars movies?
They get stale.
Attack of the Clones. That's what happens. That's what happens. When people are expecting lightsabers every fucking 30 minutes. I did swear. That's how angry I got. I actually swore on a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, so definitely Did you get your ticket yet? Because we should probably do that, Dan. We should probably do that. No, it is Hollywood.
I'm not doing that. There's so many theaters and there's so many showtimes. I'm not, and I don't need to see it like Thursday night. I can wait until like
Saturday. Yeah, no, I can wait till Saturday too.
Like,
but we're definitely gonna review it.
Yeah, I am gonna buy tickets for the Los Angeles Comic-Con. Actually, on the website right now.
Oh, sweet. All right, guys. I think that will do it for us today. Send some comments. Let us know what's going on. I got a couple shows to plug. First up, coming on the docket is on October 28th, Halloween weekend. That's a Saturday night. I will be featured on a showcase at Flappers in Burbank, California. And then after that, on November 19th, I will be featured at the Comedy Store. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think they sent me a link. I will, if there is one, I will double check my emails. I will check that and put it in the link in the description of the episode below. All right, guys. I guess that's going to do it for us tonight. Dan, you got anything else you want to add to this at all, or?
Baba booey, baba booey.
Baba booey, baba booey. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?